everyone, and welcome to the SwiftCase Productivity Podcast. My name is Adam Sykes, the founder of SwiftCase, the professional productivity platform. And today I've got with me
Craig McCarthy, development manager of SwiftCase.
I'm Phil Whitby, developer at SwiftCase.
Okay, great. So today we're going to talk about something that you mentioned earlier this week from China. So I don't know whether you want to tell the story.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. There's an amazing video that I saw on Reddit where a mixed martial artist who's Chinese challenged quite a few of the masters of various martial arts in China, and then proceeded to go and compete against them. Now, some of these masters were like Tai Chi, karate, and some other disciplines, and they made bold claims about their ability to avoid like a reverse chokehold, and they would often have videos of themselves kind of competing with their subjects in their dojo, beating them handily and easily. And this mixed martial artist has fought in Western spheres and wanted to expose these guys, and he thought it'd be good for his country to see that it's really just a cult. And they don't really have these special abilities. So he went and fought a couple of these guys and beat them like extremely quickly. So he then sort of triumphantly said, well, there you go. But what actually happened was there was a backlash against him by people in the country who didn't want those figureheads to be exposed, so they were much happier to maintain an illusion, or at least a cult following for these people, because they felt like it ennobled the country. And so that's interesting in itself. The thing that was really interesting was that he was punished by his local council, or whatever we call it, to have his social credit demoted. So he then was demoted to something called Class D, which meant that he couldn't travel or use high-speed travel within the country or outside.
It's all got a bit Black Mirror, hasn't it?
Right, yeah. And so he had to travel to his next bout against another martial. It took him like 36 hours to get to the other side of the country. And if he'd had children, they would have restricted the opportunity for certain kinds of private class education. And he had a fine, and he had to apologise for 7 days in a row on the internet. So make an apology video to the master that he beat. Yeah. And pay him like 400,000.
Sounds like, have you seen those strange things that people do when someone loses on FIFA and they make their friend like write a letter?
No.
It's that sort of ludicrous behaviour.
I've not played FIFA in years.
Normally if you're playing with your mate or something like that, you'll make these ludicrous rules. Like if I beat you 5-0, you have to write me a letter saying how amazing I am, and read it out in front of everyone, like on a video or something like that. It's that sort of level of
it's like childish.
It's immature,
pettiness.
It's crazy.
Yeah, the thing is, on further, I was thinking, this is terrible. And when I looked into it as well, it turns out China does have a national social credit system that they're rolling out. Yeah. But there's only pilot studies, and it hasn't fully been rolled out. But private enterprises, like some associates of, or some subsidiary of, what's that large Amazon-like company in China that we all buy from now?
Is it Ali?
Yeah, one of those. Yeah. They have their own systems, and the government is now, instead of imposing their own, they're taking information from that. And local governments would have different systems. So a lot of the time, people are confusing in this country and the rest of the world local systems or even private systems that are using social credits for the national one, which isn't the case. But it could even be worse than that. So it's kind of a very sketchy situation because it hasn't been rolled out nationally. But I thought it was interesting to think about how we have similar systems like that. Yeah. Like we have a credit score system. Yeah. Don't we? Uber has a system whereby the driver gives you a rating.
Anything involved in the gig economy, really, isn't it?
Yeah. So exactly, because the thing for this Chinese system was that it was an extension of what Chairman Mao wanted, which is something called the mass line, whereby using his charisma, he would keep everyone in line going in the same direction. And since obviously he didn't live forever, they couldn't use him to keep them in line, so they needed another system. And the idea is that this will keep people in line and keep them going towards noble goals and things like that. But how much do you think that mirrors what we have already in terms of our private economy doing the same sort of thing.
Yeah, I suppose just to clarify so that everyone knows what we're talking about is this is like, if you haven't seen Black Mirror or you haven't seen the news about China, what they're effectively doing is having a credit system so that everyone has a certain number of credits and you get credits or lose credits depending on your actions. And based on the number of credits you got, you're allowed access to or denied access from certain services or like you said, that was long distance transport or so on.
And like our existing credit score system.
Yeah,
really.
But not necessarily for something that's criminal. So it's not a criminal act.
It's just a community act,
it's a social cohesion community. And in Black Mirror it was you looked at someone the wrong way, you got credits taken off you, or you were nice to someone, you got credits given to you. And in that particular Black Mirror episode, it was the descent of one woman's day from power. She was, it was easy to just descend this social ladder. But yet, I suppose at the same time, like you say, to bring it back to the comment you just made, is we do already have this. It's just not always, either it's disparate systems or it's not formalised.
It's not formalised. That
it's not formalised.
It already exists.
It already exists that if someone's always a pain, you don't deal with them.
Yeah. Or even on the internet, you're cancelled, aren't you?
Yeah.
So it turned out like that Chris Pratt recently, he joined a church that was anti-lesbian and gay, had conversion strategies there. He's wore a t-shirt that has white supremacist overtones. He's said all these things that now he's going to be cancelled. Right. So that means he's going to lose the credibility that he's had. And in a way, it's like an informalised version of it. You know it's happening. There isn't a literal score that he has, but you know when he's not got the score.
But there is even literal scores, isn't it? You look at social media and Instagram and so on. You've got the number of likes, number of followers.
Thumbs up, thumbs down.
If you're an influencer and that's your that's your job. It's not necessarily everyone's job at the moment, but if you're an influencer and you lose all your followers, you lose your career.
Absolutely.
Well, there's certain people, in the various things, you get the public shaming, don't you? And like they lose roles. Maybe sometimes it's proportionate, and other times it isn't proportionate for what the
There's metrics used everywhere, isn't there? Just it's how visible they are, I suppose, and how obvious. If it's transparent, isn't it? If it's transparent and everyone's playing by the same rules. So like credit scores, for example, are based on things that will actually affect your credit. So they don't want to lend money to people who can't afford to pay it back.
Absolutely,
so there is a
history of not paying.
So there is a reason behind that, and that makes sense that the actual thing that you're being prevented from doing is related to the actions you've taken in the past. So that's I suppose different to like the Chinese example where the guy isn't prevented from fighting other Tai Chi masters. He's prevented from something completely different that's unrelated because it is a punishment. Not it's to actually, the credit score you could argue is to help people, not to burden them with debts they won't probably pay back, as well as to help the companies to not lose money. So it kind of works both ways and mutually beneficial, even though that might not seem the way when you can't get access to cheap credit.
There's no kind of appeal either.
No.
Like he has no kind of recourse. He's actually, he can't go and have it rescinded or pay a fine because he's paying the fine obviously.
But it's a very similar story though to the Bruce Lee story because this happened. Bruce Lee did exactly the same.
I was thinking that.
You see this. He did this the same. He came up. He said, "Look, if you're in a street fight, you do whatever works. You're not going to start pulling out, martial arts forms. You're going to poke the guy in the eye and kick him, below the belt. And do whatever you need to do to win." And he went in and fought whoever, and they said, you're not allowed to train people and whatever, and who came off best there.
Exactly.
So the story has happened before, and you do kind of get like if you go against society, there are repercussions, and this. I suppose this happens throughout. If you have a difference of opinion to the status quo, you can be ostracised. You can be whatever. But this is just applying technology to kind of formalise.
That's so interesting.
The whole process of what exists, isn't it, really?
Already.
But a really interesting angle is that between sort of like 1700 and 1800 or 1800 and 1900s. The Chinese refer to this era as the century of humiliation, where because they refused to acknowledge the sort of developments of the West, and they stuck to their traditional thing. The West came in, and their naval power and technological power just took over, right? And it looks like this kind of thinking would lead to the same kind of thing if they're not allowing themselves to develop, because they won't eschew traditional cult thinking. Then, in a technological sense, they will be overtaken. But having said that, they don't, because they're doing brilliantly technology wise, because they don't apply those same principles at those levels. It's just for people that are down there. You must stick to these traditional roles, while we use all these back doors to sweep them.
It's like, is it a communist country? It's not a communist country. You know, like it seems to do a lot of trade for you know, for what is a communist country. And you know, I suppose without changing this into a geopolitical you know, podcast, if you restrict people so much, eventually does it just explode?
Like it is in Hong Kong. I mean, they're so resistant.
Well, Hong Kong's seen the other side, haven't they? They've lived in a very liberal, open, you know, almost libertarian sort of state. Certainly in the 80s, you know, 1980s, that was the home of, like, you know, business, do what you want, free market capitalism. You know, everyone was Hong Kong is like Singapore, isn't it? You know, those sort of states over there. You know, they really just weren't open to free market capitalism, but Singapore had other issues. But Hong Kong now has seen that to, you know, Chinese, you know, potential Chinese oppression. And, you know, you've seen how that happens. And eventually, China's going to face that, because, you know, you get a burgeoning middle class who starts thinking, well, we don't just want to be oppressed, we don't need these other things. And,
of course,
you know, but this is a new way to potentially, you know, use technology to dampen down that, you know, keep everyone under control. But like you said, it's always been there, hasn't it? Whether it's your Facebook likes, whether it's your Instagram followers,
even pre that, if you appeared on TV, you became a new individual. You became a new tier of individual.
But you can soon be taken down, can't you, by the crowd. If you know, if the crowd don't like what you're doing and you lose your social status, then you lose access to. Normally in the UK, or certainly the West, it'd be through your income, wouldn't it? You know, if you're not well liked, you may not get access to
like dealing with the media as well, isn't it?
Money to do these things, so you are restricted because your job gets taken off you and you're taken down to it, and you can't afford to do things. Whereas in China, obviously they come from a communist ideal. Money is not the level and social status is, because all communism does is replaces money with status, doesn't it? You know, if you can work, if you can be a member of the party and work yourself up the structure.
No end of benefits.
No end of benefits. You don't need money. It's your status that gives you and that's why, you know, like I said, we go into a political podcast, but that's you know, we watched Chernobyl recently. That was a cause of a lot of the issues, because the people would not speak out against. They wouldn't tell people. They were telling them black is white. And the guy who's telling you is a higher status person in the power station. No, the reactor hasn't exploded. No, the core isn't gone. And they're like, we're looking at it. And he's going, no, it hasn't happened. And like, he's like, go into the core, and they would do it because he's a higher ranking official than they are. And it's you know,
but the same thing happens in the
West
because someone's richer.
Exactly.
It's like,
or they've got more power, or whatever, you know, and through that, and so it is a global. It is a universal thing. I think we just, obviously China's taken a technological angle to it.
Yeah, so far, which we'll probably take as well. Or it's just atomised, spread in silos.
They're being more open about it, if anything. You know, we do it anyway, but we just...
Well, is that not the nice thing? Else. Like, they're showing, like, basically showing you what your score is in comparison to all these...
Oh yeah, it's all happening in the background,
that we've got.
Yeah,
all I know is I want this story to be turned into a film. Because it sounds absolutely incredible.
I always thought you were going to tell me he was going to walk across China.
In 36 hours.
God, that'd be amazing. But I'm sure it will. I bet it will be turned to it.
I'm looking forward to
Any film producers who want to make this film, we're interested in being involved. And if you want to drop a comment down below about the story about social credits and the Tai Chi masters being overcome by the mixed martial artist, we'll get that film produced. If you've liked this podcast and you want to see some others about this and loads of other topics that we talk about that are related to technology, business and productivity, then please don't forget to subscribe.
Yeah, and don't forget to check out some of the things that we do at swiftcase.co.uk. And if you want to add to our own metrics, don't forget to like this video and subscribe as well.
Yeah. I mean, you've already said subscribe, but I've got nothing left to say.
You can add some other comments about...
Yeah, add some other comments,
Yeah. Oh, sorry, I've taken Phil's status.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. Thanks everyone for watching and listening, and we'll see you again next time on the SwiftCase Productivity Podcast. Thanks.
Bye.